Arthur Pink, 1886-19 Fate 2. Arthur Pink was one of the most influential Reformed Bible teachers and preachers of the early 20th century. He was born in 1886 in Nottingham, England, into a Baptist family. He studied music briefly and at the young age of 16 became a youth businessman, achieving a measure of success. However, despite his strict religious upbringing, he had not experienced true conversion and for a time even became involved in spiritualism. His life took a dramatic turn at the age of 22 when he experienced conversion in his bedroom. Like Charles Spurgeon, Pink was immediately convinced of his calling as a minister of God and became a preacher. He studied at a liberal theological seminary in England before moving to the United States to study at Moody Bible Institute. He then dedicated his life to Bible study and preaching, traveling across various states in the eastern U.S. And in California, he gained a reputation as an itinerant preacher. In 1922, he launched his monthly publication, Studies in the Scriptures, to share his biblical studies. He began his pastoral ministry in churches in Burkesville and Albany, Kentucky, later becoming the pastor of Northside Baptist Church. In Spartanburg, South Carolina, his first book, The Sovereignty of God, was published in 1918. In January 1922, he published the first issue of Studies in the Scriptures, which he almost entirely filled with his own writings for over 30 years. As a staunch Calvinist, his main theological themes were grace, justification, and sanctification. However, his intense and uncompromising preaching style led to his rejection by many churches that preferred more palatable sermons. For the first 15 years of his theological development, Pink was influenced by dispensationalists such as John Darby and C. H. Mackintosh. However, by the mid-1920s, he had become deeply immersed in the writings of Puritans like Charles Spurgeon. He ultimately rejected dispensational theology, viewing it as filled with errors. After 3 years of ministry in Sydney, Australia, 1925-1928, he hoped to serve as a preacher in England but could not secure a position. He then attempted to return to his former congregation in the U.S., but by this time, his fully developed Puritan theology made his preaching unwelcome. By 1929, Pink's public preaching ministry had essentially come to an end. Between 1929 and 1934, his frequent relocations indicate his ongoing search for opportunities to combine biblical study with preaching. In 1934, he returned to England, settling in Hove in the South, where he lived in poverty, while dedicating himself to studying Scripture and publishing studies in the Scriptures. By the mid-1930s, Pink had read over 1 million pages of Puritan literature. His studies led to numerous books, including compilations of his articles from Studies in the Scriptures. He explored each theological topic exhaustively before moving on to the next. The publication was available free of charge to anyone who requested it, with about 1,000 regular readers. He also engaged in personal correspondence with his readers, answering their theological inquiries. It is estimated that he wrote over 20,000 letters, though only a portion of them survive today in the book Letters of Arthur Pink. When World War II began in September 1939, Pink sought a quieter and safer place to continue his work. In 1940, he moved to Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis in the Outer Hebrides, a remote island with a population of just 30,000. Though living in extreme poverty, he willingly gave up worldly success and fame to commune with God and devote himself entirely to studying and teaching Scripture. For 12 years, he faithfully carried out his mission on the Isle of Lewis, until he passed away on July 15, 1952. Like John Calvin, he requested that no tombstone be placed over his grave. He was buried in an unmarked plot in Stornoway Cemetery. Today, visitors searching for his burial site find only an empty patch of grass. Pink rejected blind acceptance of his writings and sought no personal recognition. He even refused to include his photograph in Studies in the Scriptures, sending readers only a passport-sized photo when they requested one. He married Vera in 1916 and built a loving family. Though largely ignored during his lifetime, Pink's work gained posthumous recognition. In 1982, Baker Publishing republished 22 of his books, which were met with great success. His key works include Saving Faith, The Sovereignty of God, Exposition of Genesis, Exposition of Joshua, The Life of David, The Divine Covenants, The Doctrine of Sanctification, Profiting from Affliction, The Holy Sabbath, and Gleanings from the Scriptures.